Hello, it me and Bailey.
Hello, Benny. What the fuck is on your fur? Why are you so dirty?
Why is he this way?
Look how cute he is, though. I forgive everything.
Anyway, guys, what's up? I promised you a vlog where I talk about religion, so this is going to be it. So sorry if it's rambly or strange. Tried to organize my thoughts a little bit, but to be perfectly honest, I'm a forgetful person, so here we go. I was raised Catholic, and if you don't know anything about Catholicism, it's very structured. Our church goes for 1 hour. If the priest is still talking and it has been an hour and 5 minutes, people will get up and leave. Now, I say this because I learned from going to my friends' churches, which I was always invited to, worst ever, that other Christian churches didn't really have this rule, and it would drive me nuts as a kid to have to sit in church for like 3 hours sometimes. Like, what the fuck is the point? You done said the same thing about 4 or 5 times. Anyway, sorry, I don't get it. But growing up, I had a lot of questions because I was born loving women and loving strong women and also kind of wanting to beat the shit out of people. So the Bible has a lot to say about that. Like, the ideal woman in the Bible is meek and mild. Eve is the reason why everything went to shit. She's also the reason why nuns can't lead church like priests. So as a kid, I had a lot of questions because it doesn't really seem that there was a place in Christianity for someone like me, at least as far as role models go. I had Joan of Arc, but she wasn't in the Bible. Anyhow, fast forward a few years, I got pretty great answers, to be honest. Not perfect, but the priests at St. Joseph's, which is where I went to school, were all about the message of love, and also about the message of the new covenant that Jesus brought when he came. So, you know, if you were to ask the priest, like, hey, how do you feel about gay people? The priest would say, it's none of our business, because it's only God's right to judge. You know, like, it was that sort of thing. So our priests were really great in that regard. They really solidly taught me that Jesus was all about love. The way I participated in church was through reading and through singing. Those were my two favorite things to do. So I joined the choir, and I would sing along, and I'd really feel in those moments like I was praising God. It felt really good for me in a spiritual sense to be like, okay, well, I'm not daydreaming. I'm not sitting here wishing I was somewhere else. I'm doing the thing that I love, celebrating God. This is wonderful. When I got older, I started to read. In Catholicism, you have 2 readings, and then the gospel, which is read by the priest, or which is done by the priest. So the 2 readings were always something else in the Bible that should get you thinking about the main gospel of the week. And a lot of readers would get up there and read like, and John said to Matthew, peace be upon you, for I am the Lord. Like, it would be like really, really, really boring. I hate to say that because I know they were doing their best. So I would try to read and like give people different voices, and like people would give me compliments like, wow, you made God sound very like stern and strong. Like, I actually got compliments from random ass people on my reading. In fact, I had a friend in college. We met because he was a reader at my college church. I'm gonna get into that later. And his name's Kevin. Shout out to Kevin. If you've ever seen the painting in my dining room, Kevin painted that. Anyway, Kevin's dad went to my church once. I didn't know this. This was years before I met Kevin. And he was a local, I think a news anchor or weatherman, something like that. Anyway, he had stopped by our church because, I don't know, maybe his church was busy or he was in a different area. And we were done. It was in the parking lot, and he came up to me and he shook my hand all hard. He was like, he said something like, praise, sister. Yeah, you read that. Like, basically, great job on your reading. You did, you really put your heart into it. And I was just plain old happy to get a compliment. And he walked away, and my sister was like, that's the guy from, like, WNTV or whatever our fucking news station was. And so years later, I met Kevin while reading. So it was just kind of a hilarious situation. Anyway. Fast forward again, I'm enjoying church. I decide to get confirmed as a Catholic, which means I take the name Joan of Arc as my Catholic name. And the bishop was blessing everyone with their name, and almost everyone picked the name Mary. Even some guys picked the name Mary. And so he's going through, he's like, oh, bless you, Mary, no, bless you, Mary. And then my sponsor was like, Joan of Arc. And he was like, Joan of Arc! And blessed with this big-ass grin on his face. So I had a lot of great memories attached to Christianity. I even hugged the priest a few times when I was little because I would just be like, I love God so much. God is wonderful. There were dark times too because I've always been who I am, but overall had a wonderful experience in the Catholic Church, which said, first and foremost, that Christianity is love. If you are poor and you give most of your money to the poor, then you are rich in spirit. Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so don't walk around and be like, well, I'm very holy and I go to church every weekend. Love your neighbors. Love God. Let God judge shit. I mean, I think plenty of times Jesus, pretty much said that shit. God decides, not really my thing, God's thing. All of that made a lot of sense to me. And then I went to church in Richmond, where I was at college, and it was a very different experience. Church was boring. Church was like it's portrayed in Dogma. Just this, only real singers were allowed to sing, and they all sang in that voice. Every song was like that. The songs were not good. I'm sorry, Richmond Catholic Church. Your songs were shitty. There were so many readers that I only got to read maybe once a month at most. There was dinner afterwards, which was dope for the young folk, for the college students, but I really lost a lot of the messaging, and they were very stereotypical about a lot of things. Women did indeed need to be meek and mild. There was no adaptation of Jesus' message to the modern day. It didn't feel good anymore. And the more I tried to go to that church and felt dead inside and bored. I mean, a woman once fixed my bra strap sitting behind me in that church. I was just like, the fuck? Seriously? I kind of got out of the spirit, and I already had a very hard time believing in a lot of things anyway, because I felt in my heart that God really must be a woman, because why would you have a creator that wasn't a female? That's what creates on this planet. Women create life. Why wouldn't our creator have been a woman? I also, again, was having trouble with this whole women have a very specific place and women are evil and this, that, and the third. And then I believe in reincarnation. So always having to ignore big parts of the Bible, the book that I'm supposed to be getting my information of, because I simply believe that reincarnation is real and that energy is never lost or gone. It always just transfers on, proved to be more and more difficult, and I had a lot of questions for myself and why I was cherry picking from this book if I was supposed to believe in it. So eventually I realized that I wasn't really a Christian or a Catholic. I did believe in doing good to people. I did believe in a creator of some sort, but I really just believed, again, that the creator would be a woman and that there was reincarnation, and that religion was really made to control people, to force people to follow certain rules. And I think sometimes those rules were for everyone's good, right? Monogamy was probably the only way to stop the spread of STDs back in the day because they didn't have condoms. Keeping your food a certain way or not eating certain food was probably because they didn't have refrigerators and they had to make sure that people weren't accidentally killing themselves. Paying certain taxes to the church and, all this stuff. I think it made sense in the time period. But religion always felt very controlling to me and felt like a way to control people rather than a true belief. And so I eventually realized that I was just spiritual, not religious. I became a pagan. I danced on the equinox and the solstices to the goddess, and I felt great. And so now, currently, when most people ask, I'll say that I'm spiritual and that I believe in a goddess. And sometimes I get into fights with atheists or you can't prove this, that, and the third. I don't care. One of the main pillars of a belief is faith and belief. You can go ahead and be atheist or agnostic or Hindu or Muslim or Christian, as long as we all respect each other and treat each other nicely and don't try to hurt each other. I don't care. I only care when people do horrible things to each other in the name of religion, which is fairly common in all religions. It really pisses me off when Christians get so uppity about Islam and the treatment of women like they weren't doing all that same sorts of horrible shit to women all throughout history, but it's fine. We ain't gonna bring up the Spanish Inquisition or the giant metal things that women were made to wear that held their tongue down because they were too uppity. But okay, sure, Christians are perfect. Anyway, The problem with everybody is the main takeaway from this conversation. So people had asked, I just wanted to share a little more about what I believe and my kind of journey into belief. And I do truly believe that if there is a creator, I don't think that they created DNA and atoms and the solar system and forces of nature not to use those things to interact, or without the purpose of creating them for the purpose they were made. So in other words, someone could say, oh, well, a lot of people believe that in angels because when they're going through a traumatic experience, they report feeling that another person is there. But we were able to replicate that scientifically by, like, messing with certain things in your brain. Okay, pause. If this creator created humans with brains, with neurons, with all of these things, why would they not also create things that help you in those? Like, it's like creating a computer program. Why would you, like, if I need to fix my computer and I created a computer program, instead of creating something, another program, or messing with the hard drive, it would be like adding a banana hat to my computer and then expecting that that would fix it. Yes, there is a built-in system in place to give you comfort when you're distressed. Awesome. That seems pretty great. That seems like whoever built your computer brain did a good job. Anyway, just my thoughts. You are, of course, welcome to disagree with me. See you guys later.